Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope everyone is well. We'll get started pretty much in 30 seconds or so. Hope everyone is doing good. We're going to talk about all the major market today. We got lots of opportunities to talk about. So I'll certainly go into more in depth on a few things that I'm looking at. And I think there's a few positions I'm in right now as well. I'll go over those as well. Okay, so. So 14 o'clock GMT. So why don't we get started? Why don't we get started now? And then we'll go from there. I'm gonna start doing this. I'll go over the positions I'm in first, and then we'll take it from there. I'll showcase where my position are right now. So I am in three pairs. I'm in Aussie CAD, I'm in Euro Dollar, and I'm in Pound Yen. These are the positions I'll go over right after. So let's take a look at Aussie CAD. Talk about the scaling entry here. This was the original first entry. This is the second entry. I haven't moved my stop loss. It's still at -1 for so even if my first trade was to lose, I would be break even on the overall positions. Second trade is pound yen. Talk about pound yen as well. From this top here, I talk about that there is a good potential that we guys see this ascending channel, and then we're going to see that quick. So I like that position. I like a short entry here. I like how there is impulse, correction, impulse, and then there is a small correction here and pushing down the price. This looks like it can just form bigger corrections, so I'm happy to wait for that happen if that's going to be the case, and then look for just further bearish move from the price to go down to a low here. And third trade I'm in is Euro Dollar. Euro Dollar, I also talk about, we've been talking about Euro Dollar being bearish, the way how I see it. Impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. And we're pretty much seeing this last bit of the correction here. So I just opt in with an entry order once price break down. And I have very decent stop loss. So pretty much just holding through all this correction. And I think this is one of the things that people are beginner traders don't understand about. Sometimes when you enter these trades, you just have to understand that they might be a bigger period of consolidation, and you just have to able to have a adjustment your stop loss. You're able to hold through a correction, and it looks like this is a clear breakout now. So I like what I'm seeing here in New York session. So let's just see if we're going to continue the trend, continue the momentum. My target is going to be at the lows of this previous swing low of the higher time frame first. So all these are pretty good risk reward that I'm looking at. So definitely looking to see how the price will develop in. So those are the three, or you can say four position I'm in. Aussie CAD, Euro Dollar, and Pound Yen are the positions I'm in currently, and we'll see what happens from there. Okay. All right, so let's move on to what we're looking at for today or for this week. Sorry, for the next 24 or 48 hours. Sorry. Let's look at a few things. That's what I'm going to start with dollar first. We'll start with dollar index, and we'll take it from there. So let's look at dollar index here. We'll start from higher time frame first and kind of give you guys a perspective on it. What I see on the dollar, remember we talked about there's kind of two potential way of looking at this. Looking like for a higher time frame, this is kind of a downtrend. We have this phrase correct, pushing the price down, and this last bit of the correction I mentioned, can it be this continuation correction, or can it be a reversal on a lower time frame? So lower time frame, we have this kind of channel structure. We push up, another correction, we push up again. Is this going to be some sort of continuation? Well, we're waiting for what happens in this last bit of the price here. Can we get some sort of correction here? looks like we could be forming something here, and if we can, then I expect this to push out and continue forward. If we can break this high here and continue upward with more correction, then certainly I like to see that, especially I still have a bias for the dollar strength if that's going to happen, and I'm still kind of observing to see if we get good bullish price action to continue forward and continue pushing the dollar up. That would be nice. A lot of us, or a lot of you guys, talk about different opinion in my Telegram group. I think it's all valid. You don't have to see it who's right or who's wrong when it comes to analysis. But I think what's the most important part is follow your plan so that people, right? If you want to have a dollar strength bias, then have a dollar strength bias to go. If you don't have a dollar strength bias, then have a dollar bearish bias if that's what you have, but don't jump back and forth, right? I find a lot of new traders tend to do that. They jump back and forth because they see people talking about buying, and then they're getting pretty much hooked on that, and they're thinking, oh, I should be buying now. And then they jump backwards and they see people who are selling. They're like, oh, should I jump onto the selling, right? So there's never ending to that. Okay, so just understand that. Have a plan, have a bias, and then follow it accordingly. Okay. So let's look at a few dollar pairs. Let's look at a few. I want to look at a few Aussie dollar, few main dollar pairs, which can still shape up to something, and this is kind of what I'm still looking out for. Aussie dollar as example. So Aussie dollar, you can see this kind of both way, right? You can see that this is an impulse, correction, impulse. And then is this a reversal impulse followed by correction? Is this one way of seeing this? This can be an inverse head and shoulder, or this is making more of an expanding structure that I talked about yesterday when I made the video. So anything can happen here. I think the best part is to wait for this part to at least complete, at least to push down more and then break out of this low. Then we know this is a bearish continuation. If that does not happen, if we start seeing kind of a bullish price action, if this pushes up followed by correction, then we can see that it's as an inverse head and shoulder and we potentially get bullish push. So this is why we don't need to rush it. This is not as clear as something else that I'm looking at, and this is why it's better to wait for a little bit of development here, because now you can see lower time frame, you can argue both way, right? You can argue this is a bearish push down. So let's just wait a little bit more to see what will happen. I still favor the bearish move, of course. I still see the bearish price action still can work out a little bit better. So even though this pushed out, this is reversed back, but I can still see this forming something like this and eventually go down. Okay, so that's Aussie dollar. Let's go into Kiwi dollar. Trust Harry, I always jump back and forth and lose. Exactly, my friend. You shouldn't, always stick to a plan, right? Stick to your analysis. No one is right or wrong all the time. No one is right all the time. If someone is right all the time, you would be risking more to take that trade, right? So think about in terms of that. So Kiwi dollar looking similar like Aussie dollar, right? We push out of this correction here and looks like there was something to form here. I can see this a little bit better than Aussie dollar because this is an impulse correction impulse. And kind of another, I'm looking to see if we can just push down lower. If we go into a lower time frame though, some of you guys are seeing this potentially differently. Someone else was showing me that they're seeing it as bullish or bullish kind of price action. That all depends, right? That all depends on what you see or how you see the structure. Personally, I still weight heavier on the higher time frame, which I still see this corrective structure pushing the price up, impulse up, reverse impulse down, continuation, breakout of this higher time frame structure, and then looks like there is a structure forming here. Okay, so I do favor this kind of setup a little bit more than the lower time frame move, and this is why there's nothing wrong in my opinion, right? If you're looking at lower time frame kind of reversal on the lower time frame, I talk about this in my weekly outlook. Just remember that the short-term buy may not be as promising or may not even reach this high before it starts reversing, whereas the higher time frame looks a little bit more promising to go down further. Okay, so euro dollar, talk about euro dollar a lot. And some of you guys are looking at this as a buy, and nothing wrong, right? As long as that fits your plan. If you thought this was a buy entry, there was an impulse down kind of pullback, and there was people talking about the entry to go long, and they were just kind of targeting to the top or whatever the case. And like I said, if that's your plan, that fits your management, then go ahead and execute it accordingly. But for me personally, I'm more looking at it as a higher time frame push down from the price, right? I like how there is clear impulse, clear correction, clear impulse, clear correction. So that's what, for me, that's my confirmation. And for me, that's what I look for in the market. I like how we broke all of this higher time frame kind of rising wedge, and price is pretty much showing you all kinds of bearish kind of price action, which is also what I like as well. Okay, so that's what I see on euro dollar. Enter this euro dollar trade, and looks like it's doing okay now. Let's see what this bearish move will happen. Can we get a correction here? And we just push down lower? That would be awesome. And then take it from there. So that's euro dollar, guys. Any question, guys? Let me know. I want to continue now to pound dollar. So let's take a look at pound dollar. Some of you guys are in pound dollar, and some of you guys are, again, in these kind of buy setups, right? I saw this in my Telegram group. Again, seeing this lower time frame push up by a correction, someone drew it out like this at the time, and they were targeting this top here. Remember, this is what happens. This is a prime example of, yes, we did see lower time frame correction. Yes, it did had a push up, but did it push all the way up here, or did it become a trend change to push higher? Not in this case, right? Not in this case, because we still have to weigh heavier on the higher time frame. We still have to weigh heavier on the overall higher time frame move from the price. This is that ascending channel. We talk about this ascending channel pushing down, followed by a correction, and then looks like we're breaking out now. So there is a few entries here. I was looking at these entries. I ultimately go with euro dollar. I ultimately went with euro dollar. I didn't go with pound dollar. But pound dollar, if we see a breakout from this higher time frame channel, then certainly I will be looking for an entry somewhere here to go short. Okay, so bear in mind here, this pullback here doesn't really faze me. We've seen these pullback before. We'll see if it continue going down and down and down, and that's kind of how I will look forward to these kind of setups. But ultimately, the confirmation to me is if we break out of this higher time frame ascending channel and there's lower time frame continuation here, that is always going to be my trade. Yep, so any question, guys, let me know. I'm sticking this trade at the moment. Okay, explain the stock. I don't really talk about stock, but I'll talk about all that afterwards. I finished the market in order, so if you bear with me, I have a lot to go over. Euro Yen, I'll talk about that after. So that is it for me for the dollar. I don't really see much other dollar pair that is really on my watch list. Something can be shaping up, right? But not as clear as the couple ones that I just went over. Dollar Yen, I want to talk about this quick. I'm not sure if any of you guys got in on dollar yen, but if you're in, we push up, we have this expanding structure. So if you're in the trade from the bottom, good. And if you're wondering what's going to happen here, I talk about how this is an area where I really wouldn't look for entry here to buy. Because we're so close to this higher time frame channel structure now, what price can do is just move out correctively like this, and then slowly move down and then bring down again. You don't want it to get stuck in this consolidation stage. What I would wait for is, if it's going to form correction, let that happen and wait for that breakout of that higher time frame channel, because that's going to give you that confirmation. And then look for a lower time frame correction here to buy. is always going to be the best ideal case. It's the same as pound dollar that we just went over, if you guys recall. I like these when you have a higher time frame structure breakout, right? This is the clean higher time frame structure that we're looking at for pretty much a month now. Impulse up, take years to correct, and we have this descending channel. We have this lower time frame push up, and if we can break above this higher time frame structure, then clearly lower time frame continuation to the upside. Okay, so looking very clean in my opinion, and that's why I'm not really into buying from here. Okay, it can form bigger structure and go, or it can form a corrective structure and reverse down. Okay, so I don't like to enter these when the risk reward is so limited. All right, so that's my take on dollar yen. Pretty much that is it for me in terms of dollar. I don't see much else. But any question on these dollar pair before I jump into other positions? Eurocad, I will certainly go over. I'll go over Eurocad. I will go over Aussie Kiwi. Aussie Kiwi. Dude, where's my Aussie Kiwi? Oh, my Aussie Kiwi's gone. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to Aussie CAD. This is another position I'm in currently. So what I see on Aussie CAD, well, we talk about that this higher time frame kind of double top area, and price gets there in this kind of a rising wedge structure. So I know that this is a reversal correction on the higher time frame. So higher time frame wise, pretty much we have a impulse up and then a reversal impulse down, and there's a continuation correction right after we broke all of this higher time frame wedge. So this can be really the first entry here, and I didn't take that, but I took the second entry there. Second entry, once we confirm break all of that structure, pretty much just looking for lower time frame correction here to get in. So I got in the first entry, and then there's a second scale in entry I'm in as well. So usually I'll scale in each entry if I can put the first entry at least to in a loss. I will be break even off the overall positions. So that's just how I risk or how I manage my risk when it comes to these kind of entries. And really the target, there's a lot of potential on this in my opinion. Oops, what is this coming up? I'm looking for the bottom. Have impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, and all the way down to the previous low. For a pretty good risk reward, first trade would be about 8 to 1, second trade about 4 to 1. So we'll see what happens. You know, we'll probably take a few days to get there, but I like the position, I like the entry, and even possibility to go all the way down to the beginning of that time. So certainly keeping an eye on this. Hey Hussein here. I'm going to talk about Euro Yen. I appreciate you just be patient and wait for it instead of jumping to trying to find out what I want, what I think about the pair. Because I notice you do that a lot, trying to find out if there's a position to enter or things like that. And I told you I don't do signals. Okay. So Kiwi, this I mentioned this in the weekly outlook. This is something getting a little bit more interesting now. We have this really bullish push up, and then I mentioned about it wasn't really interesting when price is kind of having all these impulses, correction impulses, and someone pointed out that there could be a structure forming here, and I do kind of agree. I do kind of agree. Is kind of see what will happen if we either come to the bottom here and then break out followed by correction, or we're just going to break down completely and go down from there. Ultimately, I favor a more bullish outlook. I like that this is a bullish push up. So if this is some sort of bigger kind of expanding structure that we talk about, right? Expanding inwards. And if continuation, we get continuation breakout and correction to follow. I think that makes sense. Okay, but for now, I'm not really seeing too much Preferably is one more move to the downside and then reverse back up and continue. I think that would be the better setup in my opinion. So let's look at Aussie Yen, for example. Let's look at Aussie Yen. So Aussie Yen, what do I still see? Well, I still see this as potential to move down here. A lot of us are looking at Aussie Yen or looking at most of the yen pairs. So we had this kind of a breakout from the price and then a reversal impulse down and then begin its kind of a correction. But I like how this correction is pretty much all the way back to the previous top now. So it could be forming a reason double top. And on a higher time frame, this is a higher time frame double top. And I like how we move up correctively in this ascending channel formation. So that's all good price action or good potential to see a reversal. So what I want to wait for is that breakout from the price followed by correction and then pushing the price low and see how the price react to these previous lows and go from there. Okay, so I think this has a lot of potential. And if you notice, we're at the top of the overall correction, right? So we bound to have a reversal. We can see this M style pattern I talk about as well. So a reversal structure, we see a lot of these bearish reversal continuation. That's going to add confluence to our trade. So wait for that breakout and then wait for the continuation. So moving on to Euro Yen. Euro Yen is not really on my watch list. I could see why some of you guys are looking for short. Maybe there's a potential kind of sending channel like this moving up. But I think the short here is not as good as Aussie Yen, for example, or Kiwi Yen I'm about to go over, and I'll go over Pound Yen as well. So let's take a look at Euro Yen. I mean, this is pretty much all I see at the moment. I see this ascending channel, but I'm not really seeing a potential kind of top. This can be a top, but we kind of break above quite fiercely already. What I want to wait for is same thing as Aussie Yen, is we can break out of this ascending channel before we get in. I think entering here is a little bit prematurely. If you see this as a correction, sure, but there's no other confirmation here except this lower time frame, right? So that's something you just have to understand when you look at these trades. For me personally, I want to make sure bias is matching with lower time frame bias. Okay, so in this case, all I see is this lower time frame ascending channel, but if it breaks out followed by correction, then that would be a better setup in my opinion. Let's look at Pound Dollar. So Pound Dollar, to me, what's least we just broke, and then we broke it pretty impulsively. Price has been moving up quite a bit. It's not natural for the price to continue shoot up without a kind of a deeper pullback or deeper correction, which is kind of what I'm expecting the price to do. And if we look at how the price gets there, we broke the top, we pushed down, but we formed a clear. And on the lower time frame, there's a little bit more development because at least we broke all of this descending channel, and there was a correction, and then there was another impulse down. There was another correction here. So the price overall looks a little bit better than Euro Yen, and I like how we have been moving up quite fiercely already. It's good to be looking for that potential reversal on the lower time frame and kind of look to see if we can break below this correction here and continue lower. But first target, it's the beginning of the correction. Pretty good risk reward in my opinion, so I'll take a look to see what will happen in the upcoming days. Then let's look at Kiwi Yen. I like Kiwi Yen's price action as well. We talk about Kiwi Yen have this kind of false breakout on the higher time frame. So higher time frame double top potentially, and lower time frame we had an impulse up, false breakout, and then a reversal impulse down, which is what I like to see. And it looks like we're forming a expanding structure about yesterday. So expanding structure, looking to see what the price will do if we can break out or if we can push down followed by correction here, and then break out of this expanding structure and then lower time frame correction to go. I think this is something that I will be keeping an eye on certainly for the upcoming days or so. Even this move pushes up to the top here, I would still be interested, right? Because we know sometimes price forms these kind of M style pattern, recent double top, but ultimately the higher time frame price looks pretty clean. We reached this high area, and again, pretty impulsively without another correction, which is kind of what we want to see if we want to see further down, further kind of like upside momentum, but we want to see at least some sort of pullback, some sort of correctional phrase for the market to happen. So I'm gonna keep going, guys. Any questions, just let me know. Eurocad, someone asked about Eurocad. Remember, I was looking for a potential long here, and the long meaning I need to wait for confirmation. Right? I was waiting to see if we're going to get some sort of reversal correction and then push up the price followed by correction to go. Right? That is always in my plan to execute something like this or something like this. But none of those happen, right? And none of those happen. And just something that you have to understand is if those bullish price action doesn't happen, then what do we expect from the price? Well, we break this previous low now. So if we break the low pretty impulsively, are we going to form more continuation here? Right? If it forms continuation here, that pretty much invalidates everything we see here, and we're going to go downside more and more. Okay, so I think this is something, again, a good lesson for newcomers is that you can't just, you can't marry to your bias. Yes, originally I was looking at this as a bullish potential, but if the bullish price action does not develop, if there's no bullish confirmation, then no trade for me, right? No entry, no trade. I'm gonna wait for a little bit more development, and if the price doesn't give me that bullish price action to buy, then expect this to break down lower. And if there is bearish continuation like this, then I will change my bias and I'll be looking for the sell. Okay, so that is how I do it consistently over the years, right? We don't get emotion out of, we don't let our emotion get the best of us. I find a lot of beginner traders often have too much ego. Let's say they have a bias or a forecast, and they think that, okay, it has to go up, it has to go up. So all you're looking at is potential up, 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 but you're forgetting what the price is doing. This bearish push down is pretty impulsively, and we broke the previous low. And if there's continuation here, then yeah, I do think the short here is very valid. Okay, so that not seeing more, but here I think that will be awesome. And then that's something that I will keep an eye on for a potential sell. All right, so that's Eurocad. Moving on to, let's talk about a few more Kiwi pairs to wrap it up. KiwiCad, some of you guys got on Telegram. I think a bunch of you guys probably got in on KiwiCad. But I think KiwiCad is pretty clean, right? Pretty clean that we broke out. We broke all of this ascending channel. This is the ascending channel that we have, right? So very clean. We had this impulse down. We broke all of this larger correction, and there was a lower time frame pullback. And some of you guys are looking at this correction as well. So I definitely think this correction is also valid as well. So be a little bit more patient, wait to see what this correction will do, and then look for the next sell. Okay, so certainly has merit in there. We've been pushing down already pretty much, but it's just the first sign of that impulse from that higher time frame structure. Remember, we talk about we always want to be in the impulsive phase of the market, right? We don't want to get stuck in the consolidation phase. So once we see a big consolidation on the higher time frame finishes, then expect this next lower time frame impulsive phase in the downside. So if we look at the higher time frame here, higher time frame double top, higher time frame ascending channel, we push out now. If there's further correction, expect this to continue go to the next low. Pound Kiwi, Pound Cat. Yeah, I will go over those. So let's continue. Kiwi Swiss, I also want to talk about briefly. Kiwi Swiss actually broke out. This is kind of what I was waiting for. Um, excuse me. When price had this false breakout, we had an impulse down. Looks like a correction. I was mentioning, are we going to get a flat out correction and just go, or are we going to be, in my opinion, it's a deeper correction. So we had an impulse down, but this is a deeper correction that we formed. So an impulse correction now. But we still break out of this deep, kind of ascending channel. So what I will wait for naturally is, do we get a continuation here, right? We broke out the structure now. This is exactly kind of what I was forecasting to do. We get continuation here. I think that's the key here to confirm the further downside. So very similar like Euro Kiwi. If you guys recall, I took Euro Kiwi like pretty much 3 times in this whole month. All resulted in break even. And Euro Kiwi doesn't seem like as good price action now compared to Kiwi Swiss, which actually broke out, and there's a little bit more lower time frame bearish move. So this developer be more inclined to look for something here than Euro Kiwi, which didn't give me that bullish price action which I was looking for. All right. Pound Cat. Yeah, let's look at Pound Cat here. I see some of you guys are into Pound Cat or Pound Kiwi. I'll go over those. I think any cat pairs are looking pretty good. Disregarding which cat pair you're looking at, I think cat is getting pretty strong. So looking at Pound Cat here, ascending channel pushing the price up. We had that first breakdown. This is a first continuation correction. Some of you guys got in on this correction, and then price pushing down now. We're approaching to this low, but if we get more correction here, I do expect price to just break the low and then continue to the downside more. So expect some sort of correction here if that forms, or wait for price to just break below it and look for more correction to add into your sell if that's something you're looking at. And I like how we're about not even halfway through this kind of a potential expanding structure we're in. Right, so we have impulse down, we have an expanding inward correction. Remember, expanding structure that I talked about yesterday, it's not always going to be continuation. Sometimes it could be reversal. So you got to be a little bit more careful. We know when the price is within the correction, anything goes, right? It can move up and down, it can move sideways, it doesn't matter. But when a correction finish, we likely to next impulsive phrase or a reversal impulsive phrase. All right, so that's Pound CAD. Moving on to Pound Kiwi. So Pound Kiwi, I saw some of you guys got in this on Telegram as well. So I think I got a question asking me at the time, did I see any bullish price action? At the time, I see bullish price action when I see this kind of a pullback. But afterwards, when I see this lower time frame push down followed by a correction, I do think that validates the sell. So if you're in the sell already, your stop loss should be at break even, because this pushback likely to kind of target your entry. So make sure you adjust your stops accordingly. That is how I would manage a trade if I enter here. But of course, that's up to you, of course. But ultimately, I still see a potential out of these Pound Kiwi trade, because this is that higher time frame ascending channel. We have that M style pattern, double top, ascending channel on the lower time frame. So all these price action is very clean, right? We talk about that the overall trend is still bearish in my eye, and this higher time frame channel can finish and then look for the next impulsive move to the downside. So that's what I see on Pound Kiwi. Any question, guys? Any question on the currency pair before I jump into other things? So let's move on. Let's move on to other things here. No question. Let's look at a few commodities. Do you still want to look at commodities, especially oil? Oil seems like it's something that we're all interested in, and on this yet, but I'm looking at this as something that could be potential. Talk about this last week about this price moving up. False breakout, we had a push down. I was looking to see if there's confirmation bearish price. So we pushed down and then followed by kind of ascending channel, a channel kind of correction, and we're pushing out now. So if there's lower time frame correction to push down, I can expect price to reach the low. If we break out from here and go lower, then expect the next low to be a potential target. So oil is something I'm looking out for the next 24 or 48 hours, because how I see this on a higher time frame is that we already hit this potential higher time frame double top, and price move up very impulsively without a bigger correction. You can see that this was a continuation correction for the price to continue. We're just not after seeing this kind of a sharp impulse and move to the upside. Naturally, I was looking to see if they're going to form another correction to go, and really that's kind of the same idea of what we see here. So expect this push to at least correct, and that's why to the downside, and then reevaluate to see if this is going to reverse up or just break through and then continue lower. All right, so that's what I see on oil. So let's talk about gold. A lot of us are looking at gold. What I see on gold here is we've been talking about gold for pretty much months now, right? I talk about this kind of a flag channel structure and prices right at them now, right? We could of completing this higher time frame structure. And that's something I still keep an eye on. I originally got in one of these gold positions, if you guys recall. This was my buy position, and then price just ended up taking me off for break even. But you can see that this is something that we're forming here. It looks like we're forming something here, okay? But this is more ascending in nature. This is not a usual corrective structure, or I mean a bullish correction that we usually see. This looks to me that it can reverse, okay? So be careful here. Okay, I ultimately still want to look for a buy. If we get a bigger correction, if this move pushes down to the bottom here, making a structure like this, and then continue upwards, then yeah, that's still a bullish kind of a continuation. But I'm not really seeing that at this moment here. I don't like how price is moving up in this kind of ascending channel. This can still be a correction to go, but as I usually see when these structures play out, we pretty much have a reason double top here, and then an M style pattern. So this can be a reversal, right? There's signs of bearish reversal price action, and that's something that when I see them, I can't ignore them, right? You just have to register what's going on here. Of course, like I said, there's a chance that we can just go higher, but I'm not ignoring the fact that there are some bearish price action forming here. Okay, so that's why I'm staying out of this until I see further. And last one I want to go over is platinum, because platinum looks like something that could be going higher. We've been talking about platinum since the bottom here, right? So there's the buy entry here, push up, correction, push up again. We push out of this higher time frame swing high, and looks like there is a correction here. Gold where it is a bigger correction, but this is more slanted. It's a little bit more narrower. If we look on the lower time frame, it looks like an impulse up, correctional structure, and then we push up again. There is some lower time frame correction, but ultimately this move can reach to the top. That's kind of what I expect them to do, and we'll see if we can just break the top and continue. Okay, so I like this. I like this platinum one that I'm looking at. We're just to see if we have enough momentum to continue higher. Hello, how's it going, guys? Any question, let me know. I'm just going to continue in this pace. So that is pretty much all the commodities I'm looking at. Went over platinum, platinum, I went over gold, I went over oil, and then that's about it, the ones I'm looking at. So why don't we jump into a few indices and then we'll take it from there. Yeah, I'll talk about those, Harry. UK 100, Nikkei 225, sure. Sorry, let's continue. I was just reading something here. So what I see, I'm going to go over a few that I'm looking at. Let's look at Dow Jones. So what I see on Dow Jones, well, this latest bullish push up, and I talk about this pretty much all the time, is if this move is going to continue, we want to see continuation correction to go up higher. We don't just randomly jump into here and hoping it will take off. What it's likely to do now is it looks like it's breaking up, but we need to wait for the confirmation because too many often when this happens, this catch a lot of traders on the wrong side, and then a lot of impatient traders start buying here, and then they end up just having a sharp reversal impulse followed by a correction, which just start going lower and lower. Right, breaking above these trend lines absolutely do not mean anything. We talk about this in many of my videos. We use the trend line to frame the structure. We don't treat it as some sort of support resistance where if it breaks in, we're going to continue. That's not how we use the trend lines. What we're doing here is we're shaping up a potential structure here. So we identify the structure. We know that these ascending channels within the larger kind of ascending channel is reversal in nature. So whether or not we get it here is very crucial. It's very similar like the ones we have seen in the past where COVID happened. So what I would wait for here is, wait for a little bit more development. Is the price going to form a continuation correction here? And that's going to invalid everything I just talked about, and we're going to go up more, then great, right? That is a combination. But tries to just trigger up here a little bit correctively and then sharp move to the downside, and that's going to be that reversal confirmation from the price. Okay, so don't rush this, right? Some of you guys are messaging me privately on Telegram saying, should I buy now? Should I buy now? I don't see a buy here. I don't even see a correction here, so certainly I'm not even going because I still weight heavier on what I see here on the higher time frame. I still have a bias for the sell if it develops into what I want to see. Okay. Move on to S&P 500. It's kind of the same idea. We're in this ascending channel, and all this price pushing down couldn't break out of the structure, but that doesn't mean that this structure is invalid now, because what's doing here is we had this pullback, we have this reversal, but we're right back at this potential top now. So a reason double top. This is pretty much all-time top either way. So can the price continue going higher and then continue to the upside? Same thing as Dow Jones I talk about. We want to wait for confirmation here. If this doesn't happen, then expect this move up very correctively and then eventually reverse back down. Right? This is what we usually see from the market a lot. All right, so be a little bit more patient here. It's better to wait for a little bit more confirmation before you try to jump in on the buy or sell. Okay, so but looking at the higher time frame, looking at what I'm seeing here, I still kind of favor a potential sell if the price action develop into. I'm not just blindly enter a sell here, which is not really the confirmation, right? We want to wait for confirmation. That's going to help you save a lot of capital. That's going to help you to manage your risks a lot better. So Nasdaq, little bit differently because Nasdaq actually pushed down quite a bit. It broke out the structure, but it had this kind of expanding structure to reverse the price. What I want to see now is this top here. Is it just going to break above impulsively and continue going upside, or we might see something on the top here and then reverse back down. Okay, so the difference between Nasdaq and S&P is like S&P didn't break out. Dow Jones also did not break out, but Nasdaq did. Nasdaq did, but this pullback is still pretty strong, right? So we want to see what will happen in this area and then reevaluate to see if this is going to go up further to the top here, or is this going to start reversing from this point and go down? Okay, so that is Nasdaq for me. Not much on the indices, if you guys notice. I'm holding a bearish bias on most of these indices, but they're not really developing to the setups or the entry that I want. So I'll be, like I said, be more patient, right? I don't need to jump into the trades if they don't form or they don't shape up and move on to other opportunities. Then US 10 Treasury, yeah, I'll go over that. So my patience frightens me sometimes. Thanks, Farrell. That's just different people's trading plan, my friend. Be as patient as I am, right? You can trade differently if you like. There's no right and wrong when it comes to these, right? If you're like, you can take more trades, but just know that more trades doesn't necessarily mean more profit. It might eat your good trades profit up. Okay, so let's look at a few other indices. So Nikkei 225. Well, this breaks up impulsively, and I'm just making sure this is all-time high. So this is really strong move, right? Really not bearish price action. All I'm seeing is looking like this is continuation, right? We see pretty much continuation. I'm just drawing all this you can see that there's just a bullish trend up continuation. So it looks like this is another bullish breakout. If they form a mini correction here, expect price to reach the high. That's kind of how I see this for now. So looking like the bullish move may continue. That's kind of all I see because we're already at all-time high. We're already pushing up pretty impulsively. So actually, is to see if the price can break this high and continue higher. Once all these prices break the previous high, we just start seeing a next bullish trend, right? So same thing can happen here if it breaks the high and then continue higher. UK 100, I was staying out of this for a while because I didn't really like how this part of the price is doing. We did see pretty good clean price action here after this sharp impulse down, impulse up correction, and then looks like this is going to go higher. But all this consolidation, like I'm trying to draw structure in, I really can't. Looks like there was a head and shoulder, but this didn't break down. So all this kind of a sideways consolidation really isn't something I look for. That's just a sign from the market that this is going to be in another consolidation. So in my opinion, based on what I see in this area, so I will wait for a little bit more development when it comes to this. Okay, so that's what I see on this one. Really not much is shaping up in this area here, okay? So I must talk about this a long time ago because when I saw the drawing like this and I realized, okay, well, which kind of happened, but now that we broke this high and then we pretty much impulse right back down, that's pretty much always what I look for in the market, right? We know when that happens, when the price broke a high, broke a double top, and then does not continue with a continuation correction, instead it reverts back down, there's a very strong chance that we're going to get a reversal bearish move now and then continue lower. Okay, that's kind of how I see these over and over again. So be careful on here, because all this to me is just a consolidation, so almost like a reversal structure, and then the reversal structure pushed the price down, and we push right back into this pattern now pretty much. Okay, so wait for some sort of lower time frame correction. I think that's going to be the best possible sell entry if you're looking at something like this, and look for the price to get pushed down lower. The moment I see that this did not continue after we break out of this higher time frame structure, then much the market is reversal coming in. Okay, so that is then US 10-year Treasury. Quality analysis, thank you, appreciate that, So that is 10-year Treasury. CAD Swiss, yeah, let's talk about CAD Swiss quickly. So CAD Swiss wasn't on my watch list, but let's talk about it really quick. I was looking at this kind of the top area. When I see price impulsively push up like this, and we're pretty much at this potential top or double top area now, it's all this empty space. Sometimes, you know, we might get filled back in, or sometimes we're just going to push up now. So the key here is to identify what the lower time frame is doing. And to me, really, I'm not seeing too much development here. This looks like just a strong push up now, right? I could try to draw something in here, but I mean, if we look closely here, this bullish move up is still more, I want to say, impulsively rather than correctively. And this is why we're not always trying to draw a structure in, because we're trying to justify a sell. I think a lot of us, or at least new traders, do this because when I notice, when they send me their screenshots, when I see them drawing the structures, they're kind of just forcing a structure in my opinion. But I really don't see that. If the price move up very impulsively, then really it's not a ascending channel, because in the ascending channel, we rather see price move up correctively. That's going to be better. This move is more impulsively, in my opinion, and that's why I don't want to join that ascending channel there. And here is where the key area now, because we're at this potential double top. Is the price going to form continuation and we're going to continue higher, or we're going to see a sharp move reversal and push down? But ultimately, it's not. Ultimately, there's nothing developing here yet. There's really no bullish or bearish price action. All I see is this potential take. You want to wait for a little bit bigger structure to develop here to give you that bullish confirmation. Okay, so that's why this is now on my watch list, at least for today. I'm not seeing any setup yet at this moment. Okay. Before I jump into crypto, I'll wrap it up with crypto. So let's talk about a couple crypto I'm looking at. Because of crypto, I'll be honest, pretty bearish. Okay, I'll go over them, but let's start with the only one that really is still on my watch list for a potential long. Talk about Cardano pretty much since the bottom here. If you guys recall, I got in a buy here. I got the buy about $1 or so captured this move, but look, my discontinuation for the up move, okay? And this is what I like about when I see trending market. This is clearly a bullish continuation, and it looks like we might get another bullish continuation structure. So the key here is just waiting for a breakout on the price here and then followed by a continuation. This can correct here for a little bit long. Just see the structure pretty much expanding into a more channel-like structure now, and then eventually break out. So understand that when we look for price action structures and patterns, we know that they exist and that they take time to correct, but we don't know 100% sure when this correction will complete. Right? We know the tendency of a correction. We know there's at least 2 swing highs and 2 swing lows, but that doesn't mean the structure has to complete now, right? This can just drag on for a little bit longer before the next up move. So I'm still paying attention to this one. I still like Cardano. I would look to see Cardano can complete continuation to the top. We know that higher time frame, we are at the all-time high now, right? So if we can get this very good consolidation correction happen and complete, and expect the price to only go higher. So moving on to a few other ones that I'm looking at. You see most of the crypto is in this kind of stage, which I don't really prefer. If you guys hear me talk about this, I don't really like to sell crypto. My plan on crypto is to hold and to at least hold it for long term as an investment if that's the case. I don't like to do these short selling positions, but that's kind of what the price action is telling me right now. If we look at a lot of these price action like Bitcoin Cash, impulse down followed by correction, and then looks like we're impulsing out. If there's a continuation here, then we might go down lower and lower. Okay, Bitcoin is certainly looking like that. This is kind of what I was looking at. Remember, I was talking about, well, when this moved to the upside, and then everyone is saying, okay, we're gonna break all-time high, we're gonna break 60,000, which we clearly did, but pretty much after we break it, we just have a sharp impulse down, right? So what are we seeing here? Just based on price action, we just remove Bitcoin out of the equation. Looking at strictly at the price action here, what do we get here? Well, double top here on the reason double top, ascending channel, M style pattern, expecting this reversal back to the bottom, right? So that's kind of what I see the short-term wise, and that's why I don't have any coins holding or anything like that. I don't see this. I don't see this bearish move is over yet. Someone was telling me that, well, do you see this as an inverse head and shoulder? Sure, this is looking like an inverse head and shoulder, but this can just push up here and form a bigger structure, and then we still always talk about my analysis way heavier on higher time frame, multi-time frame analysis, rather than lower time frame, 5 minute, 15 minutes. Of course, these 5 minute, 15-minute flag will happen and they're likely to move, but are they going to be the move that's going to take off and resume? Not likely. Okay, and that's why I distinguish 5-minute flag and I'm expecting it to take off massively. That's not how we look at the market, right? We see it from a multi-time frame top-down approach will give you more confirmation to look for a bias for the sell or look for a bias to a buy. All right. Hello, how's it going? So let's continue. Okay, let's continue. That is big. Look at a few more coins. See Dash also looking like this is pretty bearish. We break out, it looks like we can continue lower. Dot USD, same idea here. I hate to say that this is a bearish move down. This looks like a expanding structure. and we're pushing down now. Again, we're seeing some lower time frame move, this head and shoulder, but we could just be forming a bigger structure still, right? You just have to see where the price came from. This is still an impulse correction impulse, right? And still looking to see what will happen here to confirm that this is going to be more downside or this structure invalidates everything and we're just going to see an up move, right? EOS looking same thing. We had a push down looking like there's a correction here. We could even get a head and shoulder here looking like and then push down lower. Ethereum, I was looking at this for a potential buy. I was looking at this as a correction here to continue higher, but looks like we're just stalling here. And if this holds back, then this looks like a head and shoulder to me, pushing the price back lower. Can I use volume? I don't really trade. I don't use indicator, my friend. I don't use any indicators. I don't use volume. Link, impulse down, correction. Looking to see what will happen. Originally, I was looking at this. Is this going to be an inverse head and shoulder? But see, price doesn't always have to complete an inverse head and shoulder or a head and shoulder to reverse the price, right? In this case, it did not. It pushed down. And if there's another one here, same idea can happen, right? This right shoulder can just start dropping like this. What else I want to talk about? NEO, yeah, same idea. Push down here followed by a correction. So really, my whole point is to show you guys I don't really see too much bullish price action in most of the crypto. They all looking like they could be still in a bearish move. Okay, so be careful out there if you're in these cryptos, whether you're in to hold or you're in to trade. Just be careful of them. Okay. So someone asked me about the streams. Yeah, I do these streams 3 times a week, guys. Those of you who follow me, I talk about streams 3 times a week. So you're going to find a stream in my trading view. You're going to find a stream in my YouTube. So if you go on my trading view, all my streams are in my profile permanently, so you can watch. So say if you can't watch the whole stream, you can type in whatever market or whatever pair you're looking at. You can always find them here afterwards, or you can go on YouTube to find them, right? I have a YouTube channel where I do all my strategies and lessons and analysis. They're all here. So you can watch all my price action videos. You can watch all the market. This is where I upload all of them. And trading view, risk management. I talk about risk management pretty much every video, right? So make sure you watch some of the risk management video. That's kind of how you can learn a lot faster and quicker. I do all this. It's all free online. You can watch them. And I update all of them in my Telegram channel. So you can find out all my lessons and videos, educational content, analysis, trades that we're in, and things like that, okay? This is how you can follow me for all my contents. I do them I update everything very regularly every day and things like that, okay? Jump back to a few things I'm looking at and then we'll take it from there. A few positions. Yeah, let's go back to currency. Let's go back to currency and what am I looking at? Well, let's look at Euro Dollar. Euro Dollar is the trade I'm in, right? So I'm still in Euro Dollar. Can we get a correction here? Looks like we're forming something here, which is good. Expect this to go down lower if we get that completion of this. And my target is to that previous low, right? Previous swing high low. So we'll see how the price takes us. Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD is looking good. First trade in, second trade in, still running good. and looking to see what the price would do at this low or even at the beginning of the correction here. Pound yen. So I'm also in pound yen, looking to see what if this is going to be just another correction here and then push down the price. That is what I'm looking for the upcoming 24 to 48 hours. And then these are all the trade position I'm in. Just want to show you guys the live trade I'm in. So pound yen, euro dollar, and 2 Aussie cap positions. Any question, guys, on anything that we just talked about today? So happy to answer any questions. Any questions you guys have, let me know. I'm happy to go over any other pairs that you're looking at as well, or any other questions you may have. Happy to answer some questions now. You're really very good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do these often, my friend. If you want to learn more, like I mentioned, you can follow my channels. Right, everything I do is pretty much free, so you don't need to pay me anything. You can watch all my contents on YouTube. You can read about my analysis on TradingView. You can follow me on all those platforms. You'll get the most updates from me. And like I said, I do the streams 3 times a week, right? 3 times a week, right? So you can always get these market update on YouTube or on TradingView. Doesn't matter where you watch them at, but you can always get my streams, live market streams. And if you don't watch it live, you can rewatch it, right? Because it's up there permanently, so you can rewatch anything, etc. So I did review Dow Jones and US 500, but I can go over them again. I mentioned I really don't see too much yet, but for Dow Jones, this is kind of my approach on it. I mentioned that even though this breakout happens, but if it's not fitted with a continuation correction, then expect this move to be reversal and push down and go lower, right? So this is a crucial area to watch out for because we broke out of this potential structure, but breaking out or breaking the trend line doesn't mean anything, right? Talk about we need to wait for a confirmation correction if that's going to happen to bring up the price higher, or we're going to see reversal structure to bring down lower. I personally favors the reversal because the structure is still there, right? The ascending channel within the larger ascending channel is still there. Just because we pushed out of the structure doesn't mean we're going to start climbing now, right? So wait for confirmation here. That's going to be the key if you're looking for the buy. If not, if that doesn't happen, then expect that scenario where that reversal impulse will happen. So S&P 500 on the area where I'm also watching. Oh, this is the all-time high. We're right back at the all-time high now. So we make this kind of a V formation, potential possibility, and it's the same approach as Dow Jones is. If we don't break out followed by a continuation, if we just kind of slowly move up like this in ascending channel or something like that, then expect the same kind of formation as Dow Jones to look for that reversal. You notice once the price start reaching, or once they're getting into this kind of structure pattern, we're really not moving up. what I mean by moving up, we want to see it move up like these, right? These are a move up, right? We're not moving up, we're moving more sideways, right? There's a difference. Like this to me is more moving sideways but moving up. A very clean ascending channel, preparing the market for that sell-off, right? Even though this doesn't look as ascending channel as the one we just saw here, but it's still that correction. It's like an expanding structure, expanding outwards. And we're right out at this area where it should be keeping an eye on for potential reversal price action. Okay, so be a little bit more patient here will be better, okay? What do I think about the resistance on Bitcoin? I personally don't trade resistance, but I will tell you what I think about. You're probably looking at something like this. This is what I see here is, I mentioned this earlier, is I see this as a double top area, okay? How the price gets there within this ascending channel. We have a M style pattern, so a reversal structure. And if we look closely here, we had this lower time frame impulse down, right? So we have to understand what the market is telling us. Ascending channel, which is reversal, first impulse down, first correction. This can just lead into a bigger correction, and we expect the price to move down lower. So to me, short-term wise, I do see that most of the crypto are going to be a little bit more bearish, and then at least for Bitcoin wise, I do expect this to drop down to the low before any further bullish continuation. Okay, no, that's what I see on Bitcoin. So, but I do see the bearish move. That's kind of what I see on Bitcoin itself. I don't see the bullish move right here. I do expect this push to the downside, and we'll see if this is going to be some sort of structure, some sort of bigger structure to continue upwards, kind of an expanding structure that we just talked about in my video. This can move all the way down here and then reverse back up, and pretty much just a bullish move, right? So. Okay, so that's what I see on Bitcoin. Any other question, guys? Any other question for me? Snipers think alike. Yeah, I'm glad Harry pointed out I don't trade support resistance. I don't trade support resistance, but that nothing wrong with trading support resistance or trading any different methods. We don't want to be those people who like I'm right and you're wrong, right? That's kind of the wrong thinking. Everybody trades differently, and I think that's all logical, right? As long as that fits your trading plan and you acknowledge the strategy that you're using, you like that kind of strategy trading, and you're comfortable trading it. I think that's the most important part about trading is you don't necessarily have to follow everyone's way of trading, but if you have your own way of trading and that works for you, and the most important is if you backtest the strategy, you backtest the entry, and you see them play out over and over again, then that's fine, right? Just continuously trade the same way, manage your risk, manage your entry, stop loss, take profit, etc. Then everybody should be okay, right? So. Anything else to touch base on? I mean, not much. Not much to go over. I think I went over everything. Um, like I said, I do 3 times a week of the stream. Because of daylight saving, those of you who live in daylight saving eras or daylight saving countries, for me doing the London session, it's a little bit stretching it because I usually do a London session market update on Thursday morning. But to do a London session market update, it's like I have to be up at like 1 or 2 a.m. and it's a little bit tiring. So I'm thinking about just to stick to stick to 2 New York session market update instead of 1 New York and 1 London, which is what I do all the time. I do a weekly trading outlook on Monday morning Asia session, which is like afternoon for me. And I do a New York session, which is today, right now, on Tuesday morning for my time. And usually I will do the Thursday London session market update, but that's going to be like 1 p.m., 1 a.m. now for me because I'm in Pacific Standard Time. It's a little bit stretching it. So moving forward, I might just do 2 New York session throughout the week and the weekly outlook. And I'll just kind of leave the London one out because it's a little bit too tiring to stay up till like 2 or 3 a.m. For that session. So, but if you guys are in New York time, this is better for you. I'm gonna do one more New York, so that's good for you guys, right? Thoughts on FS? FSR, like equity FSR, yeah? Just want to make sure. Yeah, which time zone are you in, Trusty Harry? You're in North America, right? I assume. I see on FSR, not really much I'm seeing on FSR. I'm gonna be honest. All I saw was there was a previous impulsive raise, but after there is really nothing here. This looks almost like a push down followed by a correction. But I'm not really getting too much data here to really give you anything. This is like I'm not really getting much data here to give you a little bit more breakdown. Looks like we are in a bullish trend. All this previous price action is much lower, right? We're kind of pushing up now. But after this push up on the price, I don't like how there is a reversal impulse down. This is usually what I say. Well, I see an impulse up. If there's no continuation, well, expect at least a reversal. But if none of that happened, we just see a reversal impulse down followed by a correction, then this bearish move down is pretty strong, right? And looks like we can pretty much continue lower and lower in this case. Okay, so or Easter time, okay. Or am I not looking at the right one? Yeah, it's the same, right? Okay. Okay. I think that's it. Any other question, guys? Anything else you want me to go over regarding anything really? Someone asked me about this. Someone just private messaged me. I thought I'll go over this in the stream. So how do I look at the price? What do you mean by price action analysis, things like that? Sure, I'll go over this quickly. Use the best example of when we look at the price, when we look at the nature of the market, this is kind of how we say is the market can only be in 2 phrases, right? I talk about this pretty much every stream. Impulsive phrase, corrective phrase, impulsive phrase, right? This is always how the market tends to move. So by understanding that there can only be 2 phrases of the market, you pretty much the market is in, and that's kind of how your job as a trader is continuously identifying what phrase we're in. So if we look at Euro Dollar just as an example here, this is a ascending channel. As we know, ascending channel is reversal. So clearly we have a reversal structure, and this is an impulsive phrase, right? Impulsive phrase followed by impulsive phrase, followed by corrective phrase, followed by impulsive phrase, followed by corrective phrase, and followed by impulsive phrase. Okay, so naturally the market needs to move in this way. It doesn't move in a straight line like this. No market, no pair move in straight line, right? You're gonna get sharp, impulsive move, but their line continue forever because there's no charts anymore if that's going to be what the market give us, right? That's not likely to happen. So what we want to do as price action traders is to continuously get in on the next impulsive phrase of the market. Okay, this is easier said than done because a lot of times what happens is we're getting consolidation phrase. Okay, you see why traders lose money is because they're often entering the trade too prematurely and they're entering the trade while the price is correcting. So when the price is correcting up and down, it doesn't create a good feeling for you because you see profit come, profit go. It doesn't help with your mindset. It doesn't corp with your thinking. But once you enter at the impulsive phase of the market is likely to move in a fast-paced, very strong momentum now, and you're likely to capture very good opportunities from the market. Okay, so that's what I always talk to all my followers and traders is understanding that multi-time frame analysis, right? We know that on a higher time frame, there is a potential rising wedge. We broke out of the rising wedge with a continuation correction. So naturally, if you look for more continuation correction, we can get a very good, strong bearish continuation from the price. And we look to the next low as a potential target because we know that price may react to this low as a double bottom, and we might see reversals. We don't want to give back the profit that we already earned. So look to take profit, look to understand why we set a take profit as a potential, and then take it from there in that approach. Okay, so that's just example, but this is what I always higher time frame bias first, higher time frame direction. So at least I will understand. Okay, well I see the higher time frame bias to be bearish. Okay, great. And then I will go to the lower time frame and look for possible entries and look for confirmation. Right? I want to look for confirmation. So if this is an impulse correction impulse, this is another. I want to look for the next lower time frame impulse, lower time frame correction, and then potentially get back into the trade. Understanding the market is likely to resume the bearish move that because we just had a bearish move down followed by correction. And that is what I look for pretty much every time when I get in the market. And the key is do not get stuck in the consolidation phase. You want to be in the impulsive phase of the market condition. And that way you'll maximize your risk reward. Okay. What are the signs of confirmation? Well, what we look for is continuation correction, right? What is a continuation correction? Well, make sure you watch some of my videos because there's a lot of them, but I point out pretty much all the different corrections that you're likely to see. So the typical ones we're going to see are as continuation is continuation flag, some sort of continuation pennant, continuation pennant like this. We might see something like a expand. These are all continuation corrections, right? Also, what kind of confirmation you can see? Well, there can be also reversals, right? We talk about ascending channel. So reversal structures like this. This is ascending channel, like that. We might see head and shoulder pattern as well. We might see double top, right? Double this as an M style pattern that we just went over. So M style pattern and reversal structure. There's quite a bit, but if you watch my video, you will find most of them. I went over pretty much every single one of them that I will do. But there's more to come. I continuously make more videos on these kind of subjects. So, and that's in terms of correction. But when you look for continuation, when you look for confirmation, they're going to be very, very similar. If you notice, they're always going to be these kind of structures and sizes, right? They may or may not be the same form or same size or same length, but they're all telling you one thing. It's a period of a pullback, right? Remember, impulse, correction, impulse. So when you identify correction, they naturally should follow by an impulsive phrase, and then they follow by a correction, and then the next impulsive phrase happens. Okay, so, but you know, well, watch the video is one thing, but doing some back testing is another, my friend. So make sure you know how to do back testing. Right? I talk about back testing. Make sure you understand when we do back testing, we're letting the price replay, and then we're seeing if the price plays out the way how you analyze the market. Okay, so that is how I will do. I will continuously tell everyone to make sure you back test, so you see the structure play out over and over again. You get much comfortable executing them every time you see them in the future. Yeah, so that's it. One last look at anything. I think that's it. We went over all my profiles, right? I went over TradingView ideas and things like that on streams. Went over YouTube, all my educational contents here. Went over Telegram. This is where you can follow everything I do. You get the most update instant notification on my links, on my videos and things like that. And I think that's it. One last look. Anything else from here? Nope. So all my stop loss, all my take profit is here, and then take it from there. Really. So. You're welcome, trusted Harry. I see you all the time, so I appreciate your subscribing and following and comments. I see you for months, long time already. So I appreciate the positive feedback as always. Appreciate that. How do I set my stop loss and take profit? I made several videos on them. So if you go playlist, my YouTube playlist, risk management, how to enter, set stop loss, how to take profit, check out these videos. You'll get a better understanding of them. But generally, what I do, I'll just give you an example. I want to say there's no right and wrong when it comes to setting things or setting your stop loss, whatever. Let's look at Aussie CAD as example. So Aussie CAD, I talk about make sure you have a higher time frame bias. So higher time frame correction, my bias is for the short, right? And if I look into the lower time frame, this is how I set my stop loss or set my entry or stop. So impulse correction. So already my bias is another sell, right? When I see this kind of a channel pullback, channel correction, potentially a head and shoulder developing, and we see an impulse break out of this ascending channel. So naturally, I'm waiting for a correction to develop, which is exactly what happened here. Entry, I will always set an entry order. Remember, I don't usually take market orders if possible. I always set entry orders. So a stop entry order here below the correction, and my stop loss above it, right? So in this case, it's like 30 pips or so. But I want to make sure my stop loss is going to cover the highs here, usually a few pips above if possible. And then pretty much let the trade peg me in, which is always what happens, right? And this is why I don't take market order most of the time, because I want the trade come to me. I don't want to start selling and selling here where there's no confirmation yet. I set an entry order so that the price will peg me in instead of making emotional decisions. Okay. And so that's what I do. So in terms of that's where stop loss above the high and target. There's usually what I do is like I'll have two targets, right? I always set my target as my second target, so I will look for higher time frame swing low because it can be a higher time frame double bottom once you reach that area. So higher time frame swing low, and then but my first target will always be the beginning of this correction. So beginning of this correction here, about 3 to 1 or so. But once I see the price breaks above it, breaks below it, then I'll let the trade run. I will still look at the main target is this previous low. And if I see price move down very impulsively, I might even adjust my target to the next low because ultimately, when I see this higher time frame wedge completing, price likely to reach the beginning of this correction before any type of reversal upwards. Okay, so that is how I set my entry, my stop loss, and take profit. Okay, and the second entry, same idea, we impulse down, right? And there is a correction here, so I set an entry order here, put my stop loss above the high. This one, it's a bigger stop loss of 40 pips, but because I have really strict risk management and scaling approach, I will only scale in the same position if my first position is already at 1-to-1, meaning that I move my stop loss of the first position to here, so that even if this second trade end up as a loss, my first trade's profit covers that, right? So overall, I will be at break even. Okay, so that is just my management approach or my risk management approach over the years. I've seen too many traders enter sell, enter sell, enter sell, enter sell, enter sell. That all looks good if the price work in your favor, right? And you just have a huge drawdown of your account. I don't think that's very sustainable in the long-term run. Okay, so it's all about sustainability when it comes to trading. It's not about trying to maximize your profit in a month or two. It's about can your account be alive after 4 months? Traders cannot, right? So a lot of new traders cannot sustain that kind of drawdowns or that kind of risk when you enter in too many positions without controlling your risk, and that backfires it. And then if they don't have stop loss or if they don't understand what cut losses means, then they're going to lose their entire account pretty much one trade, right? So you never move your stop loss. I do move my stop loss. It's like what I said for the first trade. My stop loss is at 1-to-1 now, okay, because I entered the second trade. But of course, as the trade drop lower, I will adjust my stop loss accordingly, right? Like I don't do trailer stop if that's what you meant, but I will adjust the stop loss. I'll move it down more and more as the price move down, right? I think logically everybody would do that, okay? But I don't want to choke the price. So the example here in the second trade, I didn't move my stop loss. I just let the trade run. So if this trade pull back, if I had it at break even, I will get tagged out. But in this case, I did not. So how you enter the trade after breakout without a retest? That's just different way of trading, Simran. I don't really trade what people call a retest. I understand what that is, but everyone trades differently. I'm looking for impulsive trades, right? You see, this is a correction. This is a correction after breakout. This is one of the entry I talk about in my ebook. So an impulse, correction, impulse. So I set a stop entry order here, right? I set a stop entry order 9749, right? So 9749 is here. I set an entry order here, and that's what I do. Just let the trade take me in. There's no try not to overthink about it. I just set an entry order. That's it, and let the trade take me in, right? I don't take market orders, right? I always set an entry order, a stop entry order, so price tags me in like that. Okay. So I don't look for a retest because a lot of times the trade won't retest, right? I understand what you mean by retest. I understand if you trade some sort of resistance support kind of strategy, our EMA lines or whatever. Let's say I'm just gonna plug this EMA line in. EMA line, where am I finding EMA lines? So let's say someone who trade retest strategy. Okay, I'm just using this as example. You're probably not doing this, but I want to do this as educational purposes. So I used to trade these EMA line strategies years ago, but this is just an example. So a lot of times what people do is they trade break and retest, right? So they want the price to break, retest, and enter here, right? I understand what that means. I think that's exactly what you meant here. But you see a lot of times price isn't going to do that, right? This is just going to impulsively break down without retesting, right? Sure, a lot of times they have retests, but this is why I don't use these EMA lines, or I don't really want to trade these support resistance, because a lot of times this creates a barrier almost. This creates a negative barrier for me to enter, because you see here, if I see this EMA line going across, naturally people who trade these EMA lines or whatever, they're not going to trade through it, right? But if you think about it, this line here is just an invisible barrier, right? Without the line, then you see this is is as simple as this. But if you have some sort of support resistance or EMA line going across, you're not likely to enter, because your strategy or um, your strategy will tell you not to trade through an EMA line, which is fine, right? The strategy is, within its own right, right? Nothing wrong with that, with the way how we trade in terms of price action, because if you want to catch these impulses phrase, right? If you look at this, if you want to catch these impulses phrase, you cannot have support resistance line going across. You cannot have EMA line going across, because you're never going to enter these impulses phrase, because all these barriers are blocking you to enter. A bit like that, so you understand why at least I don't put these EMA lines, or I don't put these support resistance line in, because I don't want my decision to be judged, to be clouded by these indicators and things like that. All right, so definitely not move my stop loss, my friend. I think that's also a really bad mistake if we move our stop loss. I'm just being very honest, so don't take it the wrong way. I would never move my stop loss once it's set. Like if I'm setting it as 30 picks, because I'm calculating my stop loss in relation to my account, right? I'm treating every single trade at 1%. Calculating 1% of 30 pips on Aussie CAD, and I'll enter accordingly. Okay, I would never adjust this. This is, I think, I'm sorry to say, a very beginner mistake to adjust the stop loss, because you're pretty much just hoping that by adjusting the stop loss, I will hold through something and then price will continue to my desired direction. Of course, sometimes that will help, but is that consistent? Is that sustainable in the long term on a bigger account? Definitely not, because what if this just start taking off like this way? You're gonna lose 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. When does this stop? When do you exit the trade? When do you think that's enough? I'm gonna exit the trade. And the moment you exit the trade, the price drop, you're gonna be so much more emotional drama. Okay, everybody been through that. Okay, everybody who trade been through this kind of emotion, and it's about adjusting to it, right? So I never move my stop loss higher. I never move it. I would never move it so that I hope. Pretty much, when you move your stop loss, all you're doing is you're hoping that it doesn't take your trade out, right? That's all you're hoping for. But why are we hoping the market? Because if I can hope the market to go my desired direction, I hope it every day, right, guys? So there's no point hoping or wishing how the market will move. All we do as price action traders, or traders in general, is to you have a strategy or plan, you follow it, and you keep your risk management at bay. You understand you don't over risk, right? And you keep your reward big, right? I always talk about 3-to-1 risk reward is always a good. Look for 3-to-1 minimum when you enter a trade. You don't look for 1-to-1, because you're naturally not going to be a very high strike rate trader in the beginning, right? People who take 1-to-1, you have to be at least like 70% right all the time in order to be profitable. Does that make sense, right? If you trade 1-to-1 risk reward, be right you to be somewhat profitable, right? But if you're not at 70% strike rate, which most of us are not, then stick to something that is 3-to-1, because by doing it 3-to-1 risk reward, even if you're at, like, let's say 30% strike rate person, okay, but you're 3-to-1, you get 9%, right? 3 times 3 is 9, times 7 is 7, so 9 minus 7 is 2%, right? So you're still break even or slightly profitable in this kind of model, okay? But ultimately, this all depends on your trading style, management, and your trading plan, right? And emphasize on trading plan. So if you know, different people trade differently, but that's my way of trading, or how I keep my risks at bay, right? Because I don't want to over risk, I don't want to over trade. That's pretty much the whole point of me as a trader, right? Everybody blew accounts before. Everybody will blow their accounts if they're new, myself included in the beginning of my trading career. But that's how you learn to not make the same mistake. That's how you learn not to adjust stop loss in hoping the market will turn around. That's how I learned not to enter multiple trades on the same pair without more confirmation. And that is how I get better as a trader, right? You journal your trades, you look back at them, and you get better at them doing it. Yeah, so I hope that answered the question. I hope that gives you guys more of my approach on things. I just read the question a little bit better, Earth. First stop loss on the first trade, like assuming you enter wrong and price is moving to a stop loss area. Assume you enter wrong. I think that's a wrong approach. I would never. What do you mean by assume you enter wrong? Because what I'm trying to say is, when you say you enter it wrong, does that mean you shouldn't enter this trade? If you shouldn't enter this trade, then you shouldn't enter it in the beginning. It's not because the price start pulling back, then you think you enter wrong. I think that's not a good mindset thinking. What I'm trying to say here is, if you're going to enter this trade, you enter the trade accordingly. Just because they start pulling back like this, it doesn't make you entering it wrong, right? It doesn't make that entry wrong, because all your confluence of entering the trade is still there, right? We talk about the higher time frame, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, and we're looking for the next impulsive phrase. So that's on the higher time frame bias. And what do I see on the lower time frame? Well, lower time frame, clear correction, lower time frame, head and shoulder, lower time frame, impulse breakout, followed by continuation. So everything is there. So just because if the trade just pulls back like this, doesn't make this trade wrong. So really, I'm not looking to, um, like what you mentioned, uh, move it higher. Definitely not. We talk about this. We don't adjust the stop loss or exit it before it hits the stop loss. I don't do that as well, because the whole point of the stop loss is to protect your trade, so to let the trade have room to move, right? So no point to cut it short, because what if you cut it short like this and it just trickles down like this? That happens all the time as well. Doesn't that put you in a way more emotional drama when you see that, okay, I exit here because it's about to hit my stop loss, and boom, that happens, and you're gonna hate yourself even more. Remember, trading is what people say, 90% psychology, right? 90% psychology. You can like learn how to trade. You can learn how to trade this methods the way I'm showing you, and it takes time and effort. You'll get it, but can a person actually apply it correctly over and over again without getting emotional, without getting negative mindset on it? It's hard, right? So that takes time to work on. Okay, so I don't move the stop loss. I don't cut the trade early. If it hits my stop loss, then I take a stop loss and I take 1% loss, right? This is why we keep what we said, 3-to-1 risk management. So if I take a loss here, okay, I lose 1%. But if I gain, if a trade works out for me, like in this case, like first trade I'm making 3.5%. Next trade I'm working about 0.5%. So almost 4% running, right? Um, that's all we can do as trader. We can't predict what the market will do. We can't always be right on every single entry. That's impossible, right? If I'm right every single entry, let's be honest, I'm gonna go sell my house, right? That's just being as a joke. But if you think about it, if someone trader promise you their entries are always right or whatever, then on this trade alone, right? But we know that's not going to happen every time. That's why we keep a very strict risk management. I enter these, I risk 1%. So if it doesn't work out, then I lose 1%. But if it works out, I'm gonna get at least 3% or more. And in this case, if works out to where I want to target, well, my first place is 8%, right? Second trade, 4.1. Right? That is really the difference of a consistent trader. We don't know when, we don't know if this trade will work out. We don't know anything like that. But all we can do is keep a very good trading plan and risk management. That's all we can do, right? You're in same value and have only you 1 hour. Welcome to follow me, like I said, on YouTube, TradingView, and Telegram. That's where I post everything. So you're welcome to learn with me. You're welcome to interact with me as well. Okay. All right. So I think that's it. I think that's it. I think there's no other questions, right? Any other questions before I wrap it up? I've been talking almost 2 hours now, so I'm gonna wrap it up now. But I appreciate all the question. I appreciate all the new people joining me. So if you find value in these streams, you find value in my content, I appreciate you follow me and subscribe or like or whatever you can do. That's why I make all these additional videos on everything, because I'm just trying to help everyone. I can give as much value, content, and information to everyone out there, and hopefully that will help you guys to be a better trader. Oh yeah, German 30. I'm sorry, John, I missed the question. Yeah, I'll go over German 30 at the end. How long have you traded for? Do you trade currency mostly or index fund next Nasdaq? This is my 8th year in trading. 8th year in trading. I've been trading 8 years already. I trade all the major markets. So currency is the market I focus on, but I would trade commodities, right? I look at commodities as well. I look at indices, of course, and I look at crypto as a long-term approach. So I would trade crypto as well. Looking at gold here, actually, this is exactly what we said in the beginning, right? Didn't we? Those of you who are still here, remember in the beginning of the stream, I talked about, well, this push up followed by this more looking like an ascending channel. Are we going to push down lower? Looks like that's kind of happening right now. So let's go German 30. I apologize, John. This is what I see on German 30. So same approach like Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P, all that. I want to see what will happen here. It looks like this is a bullish breakout. Can we get continuation here to continue higher? And that's going to kind of invalidate what I see here, and then we might get further upside. But if we don't see that, if we're gonna kind of just get more consolidation price action like this, then it's the same approach. Wait for the lower time frame breakout and continuation to the downside. Okay, because we're at this higher time frame double top potentially, and this looks like there is a potential expanding structure that we're in, and this latest bit of the price can be another structure here. So ultimately is what happens here to give us a little bit more confirmation. I don't see this as enough confirmation to go. I'd rather wait for a little bit bigger correction if that's going to confirm the bullish up move. Okay, so yeah, so that is it from me, everyone. I appreciate those of you who stick around for these 2 hours. I think Trusty Harry is there, so I appreciate that. But that is it from me. Like I said, I'm in 3 trades. I'm in Euro Dollar, here. So I'll move my stop loss to break even after this CAD, and I'm also in Pound Yen. If this pulls up all the way to the top here, I might just exit this because I don't like this pullback if it's not going to stop anytime soon. This is the last chance that it might form something here to drop, but if it doesn't, I'll exit for break even here and then to see if there's further development, right? This pushes down. If this is a correction, be interesting to sell. Okay, and that's it. Those are the three positions I'm in: pound, yen, euro, dollar, Aussie cat. Yeah, you're there, Harry. Good job. All right, so that is it for me, everyone. So thank you very much for watching this stream. I will do another one on Thursday. Morning. If you're there, watch me again, and I'll go over what has happened in the last 24, 48 hours, and we'll take it from there. All right. So that is it for me. Thank you very much for everyone. I appreciate, and good morning to you, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever you guys are. And I will see you guys next time. All right. Thank you very much.